Angelica's root on the etheric field is warming, drying, it transforms, and it transports. So what do I mean by that? Well, probably the most important aspect about Angelica Root Essential Oil is to know that it affects the stomach and spleen meridian. And so this we see very clearly when we're looking at the physical aspects of the essential oil, that it is so good for digestion, that it eliminates wind, and all of that kind of movement through the digestive system is all done by stomach, spleen. But the spleen has a governing emotion, and that emotion is worry. And so this is a great oil if you are thinking, for example, that somebody's IBS is playing up because they're worrying about stuff, because it particularly works on the digestion, but it executes it through the energetic field that deals with worry. When we're thinking about chakras, however, we see completely different things. So yes, we'll see solar plexus, but one of the strongest actions you'll see with the chakras with Angelica Root Essential Oil is its effects upon the crown chakra, because of course many of you will know that it has a traditional association with Michael, the Archangel Michael, who is the angel of archangels, and so therefore he is the head of the holy army. And so this is a great oil if somebody is feeling like they want to do similar kinds of work to what I'm doing, the meditation work for peace, and we want to go into a psychic space that is brave. Because mark my words, when you go up into the astral field, there is an awful lot of aggression up there, and so we want to feel brave, and Angelica Root is so good for that. I'm just going to kind of backpedal a little bit to say that it's really not the essential oil, I don't think, but Angelica itself, the herb, is really important in the shamanic medicine of the Sami people of Scandinavia, up sort of Lapland way. Because, and I wanted to see if I could see it today here, but maybe it's because it's a biennial plant that I can't see one, because I know mine was 2 years old, so maybe it's finished. But just when around about the same time as the snowdrops start to show, you'll see little pokes of very chartreuse green leaves as the Angelica comes through. And so up in Lapland, it's what comes up through the snow. And as you can imagine, the reindeer think this is just fantastic because it's really tasty, kind of licoricey thing that's really fresh and really good for them. So this is a profoundly benefic plant to the people of the north. And as I say, the Angelica is a biennial plant, and so it acts slightly differently the first year to the second year. But in the first year, the shoots are very tender and sort of narrow and strong, and they call this a fadnu. So the Angelica's first year is called a fadnu, and they make a flute from it, which is also called a fadnu. And they use this flute, they play this flute as a means of speaking to the spirit world. And it's seen as a protective element. And I think that it's very interesting to see that on one hand, like Christianity affiliates it with the most benefic and powerful force of the universe, not just an archangel, but the archangel of the archangels. But even in a non-Christian setting, it's seen as the most powerful way of going into the divine realm. So we can see how that it would affect the crown chakra, but we can also think about how it affects the aura, which particular etheric bodies, and as the etheric field as a whole. So clearly we would see quite a lot of difference in the first etheric field. The first etheric body is the template of the physical body. So you tend to see changes when you inhale. I should have picked it up. I've got rose in my hand. That's a bit daft. But when you inhale the essential oil, or if you use it physically in creams and lotions over a period of time, not so much in the bath, because I don't think it has such a strong effect on the physical body in such a short amount of time. It really does on the etheric bodies. But what you'll see is changes in the colour around the solar plexus chakra. So of course that means that the etheric body goes all the way around, local to that portion. It's kind of, as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, oh, I didn't need another spare tyre. But level with that solar plexus chakra, chances are you'll see changes within the aura at that point, because of course those would represent what's going on in the physical body with digestion. Likewise, it can be really helpful for respiratory problems, and in particular if somebody has something like COPD, or just has developed huge amounts of catarrh on their chest, or phlegm on their chest, sorry, catarrh in their nose, just phlegm in their chest. You might see it in that body, but not really that much in the body, in the physical body otherwise. So you're looking around the digestive and the respiratory sections when you are dowsing for changes. So I've used that oil. What specific change how did it affect those etheric fields? So in the first etheric body, you're looking to see, is there changes in those sorts of areas? You might also sometimes see around the head, and the reason for that is the most powerful aspect of Angelica Essential Oil is on stamina and on like emotional and willful strength. So if that is depleted, chances are if somebody feels bullied, for example, they're going to get headaches. So we're looking to see, is there changes happening there? Because of course that is edging up to the crown chakra too. But the biggest changes that you're going to see with Angelica Essential Oil, Angelica Root, because Angelica Seed is a different oil doing different things, but Angelica Root you will see on the second etheric body, and also the seventh etheric body. So the second etheric body you see is the body of will. And so as we have this warming, drying effect of the nature of Angelica Root, what happens is we kind of lose that, oh, that person's a bit wet, you know. That's definitely, I don't know if that translates in other countries, but we say somebody's a bit wet when they're insipid and they can't make decisions and they don't stand up for themselves and they're just like a bit of a limp lettuce, you know. So what you'll see if you're working with the spirit of essential oil, of Angelica Root Essential Oil, is they have the warming and drying effect, and so this person kind of becomes more like the stalk of the Angelica plant, so that they become a bit stronger, more erect, a bit braver, speaking up for themselves. And in the body of will, that also means that they're not so frightened to go after what they want. So more motivation and just, you know, striking out a bit more. So you'll just see huge effects on the second body. We kind of see small amounts of effects on the mental body. People tend to think more clearly and make decisions better, but there are other oils that you would see stronger effects in those bodies. So for example, and you can guess them, maybe rosemary, maybe basil, maybe grapefruit, all those ones that kind of go, come on, think clearer, peppermint. So you will see a slight difference. And when I'm talking about differences, what I might mean is a difference in colour, how the colour changes, or even the sort of vibrancy of the colour. So I'm wearing red today, so I can cover up my thermal vest. But this is a very, very powerfully charged red. But sometimes you'll see like a dirtier red. And this is really the effects you'll see off the essential oils, that they'll change the vitality of the colour more than the colour themselves. Sometimes it will change the colour, but it tends to go from muddy to bright to become more vivid, more vibrant. So as I say, we'll see effects in the first physical etheric body, the second etheric body, third etheric body, not really that much in the emotional body, really, unless you feel a bit less like you're a victim, maybe, but that tends to be in the mental body, not so much in the karmic body, but of course in the seventh etheric body, this idea that one can connect with the upper realms, the realms of divinity, and that we're really thinking about, okay, well, if we want to invite the energies of the Archangel Michael, then really we are going to have to light a candle, we are going to have to pray, we're going to have to move into that relationship with divinity. I kind of light it. I can't stand it when it's out. Come on, light. Yeah. So then we're going into a holy space. And when somebody's operating from a holy space, you will see big differences in the outer bodies. I think this is really interesting, actually. I wasn't planning to talk about this so much, but I am going to. I'm fascinated by how you can transpose the information about the aura into teachings by the early Christian mystics, and particularly women mystics. And I think I talked about in the Rose when I talked about Hildegard of Bingen, and how she talked about a greening of the spirit brought about through Caritas. When we're looking at pictures that she's drawn, when she wrote Civitas, which is short for Civitas Dominus, which means knowing the way of God, knowing the way of the Lord. And she drew these beautiful pictures, although there's quite a lot of debate as did she draw them or did she get somebody else to draw them, did she describe them. But they were from visions that she had. And you'll see that her visions are a person surrounded by loads and loads, like she calls it the cosmic egg. And it does look very much like the aura, although she doesn't talk about the aura. But that really makes me think about, well, we talk about these outer bodies as if everybody has them, and everybody does have them. But it's a bit like everybody's got the ability to speak French. Not everybody learns very well how to speak French, and people become extremely adept at speaking French, and of course some people are born French. So what you'll see within the etheric field are different areas of development. And so, for example, somebody like me who communicates a lot, or somebody who works in sales a lot, will have a really strongly developed second etheric body, their body of will. And it's all about communication, about getting the message across. But the average person will not have that much activity going on in their sixth and seventh body. But if you were to interview or to douse the body of Hildegard of Bingen, of course, what you're going to see is this huge, vivid effects. And it would be really interesting to do some dowsing on the Sami people who are working with, I'm going to say working with Angelica plant, the Angelica plant, as a spiritual ally and a real master teacher for them, because they're taught right from birth to that's the plant that you go to. So how much more of the effect that would have on their outer bodies would be really fascinating to look at. But for the average person, the person that is just doing clinical aromatherapy, and they are just wanting to engage with somebody on a mind, body, spirit level, don't be worried if you can't see huge amounts going on in the 6th and 7th body. You'll be able to douse little bits. You'll probably have quite a pale colour coming through. But when you get really vivid colours and huge amounts coming on in those etheric bodies, then maybe you start thinking about that person slightly differently with the oils that you are engaging with. You might deliberately go for ones that are going to interact with the outer bodies, more spiritual oils, of course, rather than just treating the physical body. Because somebody who is really spiritually driven, well, the chances are that is one of their driving forces behind their health, and perhaps not so much somebody who is completely divorced from their spirituality. And that's kind of different from a disease of the spirit, a dis-ease, because lots of people get involved in the I just don't want to go to work anymore kind of dis-ease. But then there are these people who are spiritual adepts, then expect then the conversations that are happening within their etheric field to be slightly different to those people who are very much grounded in what my mum would call Malkuth, which is the earthly plane from the Kabbalah. So those who are kind of operating a more upper sphere, you will see more activity on these outer bodies. And so the oils with really good strengths on the outer bodies, like Angelica Root, like rose, like myrrh, like myrtle, galbanum, frankincense, much more helpful than the ones that are really involved in the physical body. So that is Angelica Root. I hope you found it helpful. Do me a favour, put me some notes in the description about whether you're finding these helpful and how you would like me to continue with this oil. Really, any comments you can give me are really helpful. I think at this point what I would love to do is to send you to some really early old videos that I made with Mum about how she douses the aura and talks about the colours. So see you soon.